So UFC Fight Night, Adesanya versus Pyfer is taking place this Saturday. This is my picks and predictions 100% right edition video. If you want to see my picks, skip to the very end. I will have them listed at the side. We're going to start at the top with the main event, as we always do. Israel Adesanya versus Joe Pyfer. This is the hardest fight to pick on the card. And it's the main event. I like this kind of stuff when you just don't know, because you could make the argument for both guys. Joe Pyfer has the youth advantage, does not have the reach advantage, does not have the temperament advantage. We don't know. Joe Pyfer isn't a guy that's calm, cool, and collected. You know, you do not want to be Joe Pyfer's wife when there is a domestic violence dispute going on. He is a very short-tempered individual. He's a very angry man. But his fighting style, like, yes, he's got the Pyfer power, but his fighting style, what we saw with Jack Hermanson, what we saw with Kelvin Gastelum, he slows down, he gets rigid, and he just doesn't really throw after the first round. The first round is going to be Adesanya's most dangerous part in this fight. And Adesanya, 3-fight losing streak. His last knockout was against Alex, and before that, you know, okay, the first Alex fight he lost. The fight that happened before that was Cannonier. The only, like, 2 knockouts that he has was Paulo Costa and Alex Pereira in, like, the span of the last, 6 or 7 years? And the Alex Pereira knockout, you know, I'm not going to be the guy to make that argument, but it was kind of fluky, you know? It was because Alex got overconfident and came in without defending himself. Great knockout, great fight, but it was kind of fluky. Is Joe Pyfer going to make those type of same mistakes where he's going to come in and fall into the traps of this very fast, slick counterpuncher? I don't know. Pyfer also has takedowns. He can time those takedowns really good, just like DDP timed those double leg takedowns in Izzy's fight. Because that's the thing with Izzy. He is kind of tough to take down. You have to time it when he overextends himself. And I don't really see him overextending himself with a very scary power puncher like Joe, because he's going to be fighting on the back foot. He's going to be throwing the leg kicks, and the leg kicks are going to be landing against Joe. And my biggest fear, because so far in 2026, like, UFC, we haven't had really exciting main events so far. My biggest fear for this main event, it's going to be something like Romero or Cannonier. Those fights that Izzy had with those guys, if you remember, nothing really happened. That's my biggest fear, because if this was a prime vintage Israel Adesanya, I think he destroys Joe Pyfer similar to Paulo Costa. He bloodies him, he dismantles him, he picks him apart. But I don't know about this version. He hasn't fought in like a year, right? Yeah, a year and a month. And he's only gotten older. He's not deadly old. You know, 36 for a middleweight isn't the worst thing in the world. But just the momentum isn't there. Is he really coming into this fight with the right headspace? Is he really super duper motivated? I don't know. But Joe, he makes excuses too. He says that he's sick with the Hermanson fight. He says that he was injured for these fights and all, and he might have another excuse. You don't push the pace up against Kelvin Gastelum. You don't do anything for 4 rounds against Hermanson. And 5 months ago, he had a great performance against Magomedov. But what do we learn about these types of scenarios where you have one great performance in your last fight does not mean you're going to have a good performance in your next one? Is this going to be a y'all must have forgot fight for Izzy? It's now or never. If he loses this fight, it's over. If he loses this fight, I mean, they're not going to cut him because he's still a big name, but like, he's going to be fighting cans at that point, like Tony Ferguson level. We're approaching that. We're approaching a big losing streak if he loses this one. It's now or never. I want to pick Israel Adesanya by decision, right? If he survives the first round, I think it's golden. I think he wins the fight. I don't see a scenario where Joe Pyfer wins on points. So let me get that out of the way. I refuse to believe that we live in a world where Joe Pyfer is going to outclass and outpoint Israel Adesanya. He's not Sean Strickland, okay? He is not that striker at all. Israel Adesanya, decision, but I'm scared. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not confident in this pick. This is a 50-50 fight, True 50-50 matchup. These are the types of main events that are exciting when you go into it. Let's hope the fight is good, because this fight could go one way and it might not be the entertaining way. We move on, though. A lot of people are going Izzy by decision, and that's kind of my rationale. Like, Pyfer, he really hasn't proved himself, He just hasn't. He hit Marc-Andre Barriault in the back of the head. Whatever, it was a good knockout. Did nothing with Kelvin. And Abus doesn't have a gas tank, and Abus was always mediocre himself. And even in that fight, he took Abus down, but Abus reversed the position and was on top. So, hasn't faced anybody on Izzy's caliber. Israel Adesanya decision. We move on to the co-main event. Alexa Grasso versus Macy Barber 2, apparently. Apparently there's a rematch. Call me a filthy casual, because I do not remember the first fight. It must have happened a super long time ago. I'm going to go with Macy Barber. She's got the youth advantage. She's got the physique advantage. Like, she's really built. She's got a good ass, too, so good meat on the back to break her fall if she ever gets knocked down. She's not going to get hurt as much. Okay, that's stupid. But, Macy Barber by decision. Macy Barber, she's got ground and pound, right? Yeah. It's only going to be a 3-rounder. Alexa Grasso, 2-fight losing streak. She hasn't fought in a while. It did concern me that Barber couldn't fight Blanchfield because apparently the medical condition. I think Barber's the one that has the fake tits. So the extra silicone implants, adding extra weight, isn't the most advantageous decision for a mixed martial artist fighter. But hey, how much do those things weigh realistically? Like a few ounces each? Can't be that bad. Grasso's definitely wifey material. She's got the wifey face. Her face is a little more rough. I'm just going to go with Barber, though. She's on a long win streak. Yeah. But it's a close fight. Who really cares? Do you care? If you're watching this video, do you care? No, you don't. Barber by decision. We move on. Michael Chiesa versus Nico Price. It was supposed to be some guy from Guyana against Michael Chiesa. I'm obviously going Chiesa, and we're going to go by submission in round 1. That's got to be like the most likely scenario, right? Nico Price is absolute dog shit. There is no scenario in which he ever wins this fight. I don't care if he's fighting Michael Chiesa, who's also quite bad himself. But again, like I said, Chiesa's the company man. He's getting the favorable matchups. Nico Price is taking it on short notice. Why is this the feature fight of the card? Who fucking knows? I really don't want to watch this, and I don't want to waste more of my life talking about this fight. We move on to Julian Erosa versus Larion Douglas. Every time we see like a short, stocky featherweight now, we have to compare them to Ilia Topuria, because Larion Douglas did have a very good Contender Series performance, an Ilia Topuria type of performance against a bum ginger known as Cam Teague. Great overhands and brutally knocked him out. Can he do the same against Julian Erosa? When's the last time this guy fought? 10 months ago against Melky Costa. I think it was last week where there were some Contender Series fighters that just fell flat. And so far, these Contender Series guys, they're falling flat in 2026, except for Iwo Baranevsky. He's like the new hyped up guy. Larion Douglas, he's got 5 losses, and he's been losing by decision, by submission, and by knockout. Granted, it was very early on in his career. I think he started fighting when he was like 17, so it is what it is. You know, you get knocked out when you're like 19, 20 years old. That was a long time ago. You're 30 years old now. You're on a long win streak by knockouts, you know, a knockout win streak. But you're facing a guy that's had a lot of fights, fighting out of Extreme Couture, big height advantage and reach advantage. Can he close the distance, Mike Tyson it out, become the new Ilia Topuria? I want to say yes, but it's only because I'm looking at this minus 290 favorite and it's enticing me. At the end of the day, Erosa has 12 losses. What's another going to do to him? You know, he could easily lose to this guy. He's lost to shitters before. I think I'm going to go Douglas. If he loses this, I will put a curse on the rest of the fucking Contender Series debutants. Larry and Douglas, let's just do it, man. Round 1 knockout. He's got the Ilia Topuria phenotype, too. He's got the dark triad features, the mustache, the beard, the dark black hair. He's got it. I don't know why he has Oliveira tattooed on his chest. Seems kind of gay. Maybe there's some reasoning there. Maybe it's a completely different Oliveira or somebody he's related to. I don't know. But yeah, we're going Douglas. Erosa's all right, too. Juicy J. Erosa. Could it be a crafty vet pick for Erosa? It could be. I'm not super comfortable yet. I'm still naive about the Contender Series fighters. We move on. Second hardest fight to pick. Mansour Abdulmalik versus Yusri Belgouri. Very, very hard fight to pick. I thought Belgouri was Moroccan. Apparently he's Tunisian. And he's been fighting at a very young age. Remember, this is the guy the kickboxer that fought Pereira and Izzy. He had an underdog performance against Azamat Bikoyev. Azamat Bikoyev is all right. I think Azamat Bikoyev is much tougher than any opponent Mansour Abdulmalik has ever faced. And he's a 6'6" middleweight. I believe the only 6'6" middleweight ever in the UFC. So that's an advantage. Very skinny. He's long. Tough to take down. Actually, no, he's not tough to take down. He's tough to keep down because he can posture up with his long limbs. So if you can scoop his legs up, he can posture up with his arms. And it's just tough to control him and manage him. And Mansour Abdulmalik was rocked by Nick Klein, of all people, one of the worst fighters ever. He goes 3 rounds with Cody Bumbage. Round 1 submission against Antonio Tricoli. Who fucking cares about Antonio Tricoli? He's not a real fighter. Dusko Todorovic. Who fucking cares? Wes Schultz. The guy that just got knocked out against Damian Pinas. Wes Schultz isn't even a fighter. You have to be a retard to pick Wes Schultz to beat Damian Pinas. And yes, I did pick him to beat because I am a retard myself. I'm going Yusri Belgouri. I am. I don't even like this matchmaking. Abdulmalik should be facing somebody, you know, higher up. Do Mansour Abdulmalik versus Marvin Vettori if you're not going to do Vettori versus Gautier. I don't understand what they're doing with these young, very physical guys. They're just putting them with the unranked fighters. Like, you're in a win streak. Okay, you have the draw, but still. Yusri Belgouri by decision, right? We go by decision. It could be a knockout. Yeah, we're just going to go by decision. He's going to pick apart Mansour Abdulmalik. He's going to cut his face open with some knees. He's got deadly knees. Bust his lip. There's going to be blood coming out of his nose. And, yeah, he's going to have his hand raised at the end of the fight. I don't think Abdulmalik's striking, his striking isn't the best. He has to mix his grappling, and he will take Yusri Belgouri down. But Belgouri will get right back up like a giraffe does when a lion is on his ass. Belgouri by decision. Terrence McKinney versus Kyle Nelson. You know what? McKinney's a kill or be killed fighter, but he always shows up. Kyle Nelson, that was the fight he had with Frivola, where Murgliata was a retard and should have stopped the fight, but he didn't. I want to go with T-Rex McKinney. It's time, man. Vyacheslav Borshchev, similar phenotype to Kyle Nelson, bald, white man with a thick, bushy beard. There's synergy there. If you can beat a similar phenotype, I believe that you can do it again. And Kyle Nelson, let's be honest, he's not all that. It's happening, this is in Seattle, right? So they're getting some Canadian fighters in because they're close by. More reach for McKinney. Similar heights. Youth advantage for McKinney. Country advantage for McKinney. USA is obviously superior to Canada. Keep your fucking elbows up. It matters nothing, Kyle Nelson. Terrence McKinney, round 1 knockout. Round 1 knockout. He does do a lot of damage. He's a glass cannon. That's the best way I can describe Terrence McKinney. Glass cannon. He did hurt Drew Dober. He did hurt Chris Duncan. It's just that those guys, they have some extra motivation behind them. They can pull through. Can Kyle Nelson pull through? No, because he's a fucking Canadian. And Canadians are weak. They are weak. They shouldn't even be their own country. They should be annexed. Fuck Canada. Terrence McKinney, round 1 knockout. We move on to Ignacio Bahamondes versus Tofik Musayev. This is the guy that got put in that Kimura by Miktabek Orolbai. I don't like 6'3" lightweights. I think it's cheating. I think it's unfair. But they get things done. 75-inch reach. That's actually... If you're 6'3" and you have a 75-inch reach, that's actually not that good. You should be having like a 79-inch reach. But 69-inch reach for Musayev. We're going with Ignacio Bahamondes. He's got to have a knockout. We're going to do round 2 knockout. Musayev, he's not all that. Fighting out of Ryzen. Okay, mixed deck Orolbai. His grappling is good to negate Musayev's grappling. But again, with these tall guys, you can time those takedowns. You can get the single legs and you can get a trip. And you can find top position. But can you keep them there? Because if they're up against the cage and their ass is up there, they can just get back up. And we see that time and time again. We see it with Izzy, that he gets back up. We see it with Belguri, and we're going to see it with Bahamondes. So every time you hear this discussion about tall guys, being tall is actually a disadvantage because, those long legs, you can take them down. They don't have a low center of gravity, right? They're not density maxed. So they're skinny and, they don't have a lot of muscle mass. No, dude. If you know what you're doing and you're defensively sound and you're tall, you can escape. And you can do it quite easily. I'm going Bahamondes, round 2 knockout. Deshaun Hooper versus Lance Gibson Jr. Easy Hooper pick. This guy loses to Bobby Green. Again, he's Canadian. They're bringing these Canadians on board. He wasn't even in the Contender Series. He's fighting Conquest of the Cage. I've never even heard of that fight promotion. So, yeah, Deshaun Hooper. We doing submission or knockout? We're doing submission in round 1. Fearless Gibson Jr. What can we say about him? His last fight, he was just shy. Very scared. Was not throwing anything against Bobby Green, King Green. And, it makes sense. Like I said, he's Canadian. He's pussified. I don't care if he's got like some Jamaican background or whatever. I think he's Jamaican. I know there's like a large Jamaican diaspora that lives in Canada. Because, Commonwealth countries, I guess. I'm going with Deshaun Hooper. Alexander Hernandez, short, stocky, brutal, white Hispanic. It was obvious. Wasn't Alexander Hernandez supposed to fight Michael Johnson, but then that fight got canceled because there were some strange betting lines? Yeah, I remember now. Chase Hooper's got this. Submission round 1. This is a lock. Do you really trust Lance Gibson Jr. for the 6% of morons that are picking him? How can you do that? Height advantage, reach advantage, youth advantage, fight IQ advantage. nationality advantage, it's all there for Deshaun Hooper. Everything. He's got more fights and more experience. Like, everything is there. You do not pick Lance Gibson Jr. ever. We move on to Marcin Tybura versus Tyrell Fortune. Who the fuck is that guy, and why is this a pick'em fight? Who the fuck is Tyrell? Tyrell, I don't know who this guy is. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I don't keep up with every single fight promotion. Tybura, though, you got to pick him. You know? Yes, he's 40 years old. He's washed up. He's getting fatter and plottier and slower. It was against Ante Delija, who's got fast hands. But Tybura's always been a gatekeeper. It's going to be a gatekeeper performance. I'm going Tybura submission in round 1. I don't know who this fucking guy is. He's fighting out of Black Zillions Performance Institute. Okay, what the fuck is that? Boca Raton, Florida. Slightly less reach, 6'2". I saw another picture of him. He's very muscular. We'll just say that. He's very wide. He's kind of like, he reminds me of like a Torres Finney build. I don't think he's actually 6'2". I think he's like 5'11", if anything. He's like a fat DC Torres Finney build, very dense. Tybura, he submits these frauds. He will keep the gate. He will maintain the gate, and Tyrell Fortune will not pass the gate. Tybura by submission. Some people are going Fortune by knockout. I mean, he's got knockouts against no-names. Marcelo Golm. I've heard of that name before, Marcelo Golm. I think he fought in the UFC before. I think he was like a 6'7" dude that fought Tuivasa, I think. I don't know. Don't care. Tybura's going to get this done, and I'm not even sold on Tybura. Also, Tybura was set to face Walter Walker, but Walker pulled out because his leg is still injured from that big Louis Sutherland calf kick. This guy is basically just heavyweight Val Woodburn. That's like the best way I describe him. Heavyweight Val Woodburn. He's going to walk into this. He doesn't have even a fighter's face. He looks like a victim already. I don't care if he's 17-3. He's going to get submitted by the Polish bear, Marcin Tybura by submission. And that's that. Another women's fight, Casey O'Neill versus Gabriela Fernandez. More reach for O'Neill, same height. Youth advantage for O'Neill. She's a slight favorite. Scotland versus Brazil, why is O'Neill minus 130? After doing more extensive research behind the scenes, I'm thinking I'm going to go with Gabriela Fernandez. And by extensive research, I mean literally no research at all. You are the idiot that clicked on this video after all. But Fernandez did beat Kong Wang, who is a tall striker with good reach. And I'm looking at the reach advantage, obviously, for O'Neill. Maybe Fernandez can get some takedowns in there, lay on top of her with that big Brazilian bunda, and just win the boring-ass fight based on a points victory. We don't really care about this fight, do we? Do you? Because I don't. We move on. Navajo Sterling versus Bruno Lopez. You got to go with Sterling, right? I mean, he's the undefeated prospect, if you even call him that. He's had like, what, 4... This is going to be his 4th fight in the UFC. No finishes. We have a 205 Epstein-Evloev clone already. We're going decision, right? I mean, Bruno Lopez, like, sparked out by Dustin Jacoby, knocked out by Ribeiro. Ribeiro fucking sucks, and that was in Contender Series. Goes to the LFA, beats some nobody, and then Magomed Gashusulov, who I forgot even existed. Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility that this guy can spark out Sterling, but Sterling's very cautious. He doesn't push the tempo too much. He's got a great physique, very physically in shape, but he just doesn't, he's not aggressive. And because he's not aggressive, he's just going to pick apart Bruno Lopez with the leg kicks. He's going to throw a 1-2 like every 2 minutes. And the 2 will land. It will land and catch Bruno Lopez. maybe we can see Sterling's first knockout, his first finish, possibly, hopefully. I mean, this guy is fighting in city kickboxing with Izzy and Olberg and Brando Parachich and all those guys from New Zealand. He's a Kiwi guy. There is hype behind him. But yeah, you're going to decision with Tuco Tacos in your UFC debut. Ivan Erslan. These are like going to decision against Balad. Okay, not terrible. But again, like maybe push him up a little bit. He's 28, not deadly old for 205. Not old at all. He's young. But like maybe increase the competition next time. Because Bruno Lopez is not that good himself. So I'm going Sterling by decision. Ricky Simone versus Adrian Yanez. I feel sorry for Ricky Simone's career. You see all these losses. He loses to good guys. And then he beats bums. Is Adrian Yanez a bum? That is the question that needs to be answered. The answer is yes, he is. Because this guy loses to Marcos, Rob Font, that doesn't throw shit, and he gets knocked out by Rob Font. You get finished by Rob Font, of all people. Shame. Ricky Simone, let's get a knockout. We need a Javid Basharat type of knockout in round 1. 5'6", density maxed Ricky Simone, power overhand bombs to land on Yanez's frail chin. It must happen. It will happen. I will manifest it to happen. I manifested this! Ricky Simone. Just how good is Ione Barcelos, huh? Really fucking good. And Barcelos has a fight coming up, and he's like on a 4-fight win streak. I think he's fighting Blackshear? I think, or it could be one of those guys. And just goes to show, like, pretty privilege exists. Beautiful people have an advantage in life. Because Ione Barcelos beat Peyton Talbot, and he still has to fight. He's finally getting a ranked fighter, I believe. But Peyton Talbot gets Henry Cejudo after Talbot loses to Barcelos. Or he beats Felipe Lima 3 rounds that nothing happens, and then he gets Henry Cejudo. Looksmacks, all these Looksmacks guys, these, Giga Chads and stuff, that they mew and shit. Dude, it's real. If it's the butterfly effect, if you are good looking, you get more opportunities in life. And Ione Barcelos, he's like an old bantamweight, and he looks like a shriveled up, sun-dried raisin. So, of course, no opportunities are going to come his way, even though he's beating all these guys. But what am I talking about? We move on to the most hyped up fight on the card, Alexia Tainara versus Bruno Brazil. I wonder who I'm going to pick. Bruno Brazil's taking this on short notice. She fought like a month ago. I remember that. Tainara, 13-1, Black Girl Magic. Can we get a submission? I think we're going to get a submission in round 1. I believe we're going to get a submission. I believe in the Black Queens. The Black Queens, Black Girl Magic, Black Girl Power. Bruno Brazil. She's got that long neck waiting to be squeezed and choked out. It's going to happen. And that is UFC Fight Night. Adesanya versus Pyfer. Let's get to our final picks. These are our picks. Adesanya. Yeah. Yeah, my African brother. Yeah. I'm going with Adesanya. Vintage Adesanya will be back. Y'all must have forgot. I am going with my African brother. I know Kenny Okoye is with me. He is also going to have to pick Adesanya. I mean, he has to. My fellow Nigerian brother. I mean, we are essentially the same, from the same family tree, man. But yeah, I'm going with Adesanya. Pyfer is rigid. He's flat-footed. He's slow. All he has is his power. Pyfer has low IQ. He's like, he's just like one of those low IQ trailer trash gingers. You know what I mean? Like Adesanya, he's the slick counterpuncher is there. Like the stylistic matchup. Pyfer was made to get picked apart by a guy like Izzy. Remember back in the day when Adesanya faced up against this monstrous, muscular Freak of nature, Paulo Costa. Oh my God, Paulo Costa was going to go in and destroy this small little twig of a man named Izzy. And it didn't happen. Yes, that is a different Izzy. That was prime vintage Izzy. We don't have that now. Izzy's more washed. But again, he's going to be more cautious. And really, this is the last one. This is the end of the road for Izzy. If he loses this one, it's off to fighting in the prelims probably. Like, it's going to be bad. He's just going to keep losing. He's going to be going the way of Tony Ferguson. I think I mentioned that earlier in the video. Adesanya needs to get this done. He's going to pop that jab, bust up that pale nose of Joe Pyfer. It's going to be bleeding all over. He's going to defend the takedowns. Izzy's good at stuffing takedowns when he doesn't overextend himself. When his distance management is bad, people time takedowns against him. But he's not going to be overthrowing. Not against a guy like Pyfer. He's going to be cautious. He's going to be throwing the teeps to the body, an occasional head kick here and there, kicks to the body. And if Pyfer gets aggressive, I am confident that Izzy can counter-strike effectively like he normally does. He's the fucking style bender. We all disrespected Izzy back in the day, but now we are rooting for him. We must tame and humble this roid rage future family annihilator named Joe Pyfer. And I believe Israel Adesanya is the guy to do that. Macy Barber, she's got the fat, juicy cakes, you know. Even though that face is kind of rough. I'm not going to lie to you. That face is a little rough. Alexa Grasso has the prettier face. But she's on a 2-fight losing streak. She lost to Natalia Silva, whose last fight was really bad. I think Macy Barber, she's more physical. She's got better muscle mass. Michael Chiesa, why the fuck is he up here, man? That's a lock. Nico Price is fucking done. He needs to be cut. I mean, you could have done Abdul Malik versus Belguri higher up than that one. Larry and Douglas, I believe in the Ilya Topuria clone experiment that he will knock out Julian Erosa, despite the fact it's his UFC debut coming from the Contender Series, which is not a good sign in 2026. But whatever. Yusri Belguri, he's going to kick Mansour Abdul Malik with those long-ass giraffe legs. If you ever watch like National Geographic, you see, dude, getting kicked by a horse is deadly. Getting kicked by a giraffe, you're just going to turn into pink mist. And Belguri is a very dangerous kickboxer. Okay. And he's got good hands, too. We saw that with Bakoyev. McKinney, Glass Cannon, McKinney. He's going to come out there like a fucking berserker and destroy Kyle Nelson, who, in all honesty, Kyle Nelson actually looks like a Norse pagan berserker himself. He's going to destroy Kyle Nelson. Also, Kyle Nelson's Canadian. Canadians fucking suck. Bahamondes is going to outrange, beat up Tofik Musayev. Chase Hooper, round 1 submission. Deshaun Hooper is more black than Lance Gibson Jr. Tybura, you cannot gatekeep Tybura in your UFC debut if your name is Tyrell Fortune. Back of the fucking line, Tyrell. We ain't picking you, boy. Gabriela Fernandez, she's going to smother Casey O'Neill with those thick caramel thighs. Navajo Sterling, very weird looking individual. Outpoints Bruno Lopez. Ricky Simone, big overhand, meaty hook bombs. Ricky Simone's like a bantamweight Hispanic Josh Emmett. That's the way I can describe Ricky Simone. And then Alexa Tianara with Black Girl Magic. 100% right edition. These are, oh my god, all of these picks are locks, dude. I'm not going to get a single one of these picks wrong. Especially not the main event. There's no way Joe Pyfer's going to win. But yeah, those are our picks. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel, motherfuckers. I will be streaming this. I hate that I'm going to be streaming Michael Chiesa, but oh well. I do want to watch the Belguri fight on stream. No, I'm going to be streaming the McKinney fight. I want to watch McKinney because I need my point to be proven about Canadians. So I'll catch you guys there.